Career-wise, I pretty much failed at everything that I've ever tried to do. Recent times it's been filmmaking, photography and YouTube. But when I look back over the decades of all the different careers and different jobs that I've had, I pretty much failed every single one of them for a number of different reasons. But now I really feel that something has truly changed. So for the past few years, I've really been trying to find my way as a filmmaker, a photographer and YouTuber. And this has been going on for, I'd say, around about 8 years roughly now. Most of these particular years, I just went out making videos, vlogging for my family, days out, cliff jumping, going to waterfalls, all those kind of things, and then also taking photos and whatnot. And I never really took it that seriously, but along the way I did build up, started learning my craft, how to edit, how to take photos, how to film in good light and whatnot else. And then over the last year and a half, 2 years, because I built up those kind of skills, I thought to myself, I really want to be able to do this as a career. I really want to push myself out there and make this work, and this be the thing for me as I move forward in life. And I've done weddings, I've done events, I've done nightclubs, I've done festivals, I've worked in bars where they've had bands and stuff like that. So I've done a wide variety of different genres, low light to fast-paced environments and stuff like that, and everyone's been really happy with the work that I've done. Now, that's not to say that I'm perfect. I've got a lot more things to actually learn, but the bases are actually there for me to go out there and do things. And along that particular way, I've made plenty of contacts, I've got to know people, and plenty of doors along the way have opened up. But sadly, through my mind, I managed to close every single one of them. And though I've gone and actually closed a lot of those doors myself, I still have a massive burning desire to want to pursue this as a career. And I think deep down, the reason that I've closed a lot of those doors is probably because it's not the avenue that I actually want to go down. My main focus and my main desire with this kind of work is to actually go out and tell stories. Stories of people, of places, history, anything, just those unique stories that haven't really been told yet, or to actually tell them in my own kind of way. And also just to go out and document modern day and everyday kind of life. I find it fascinating just the way that people go about, especially in this modern day. People just dress how they want to dress, express themselves in the way that they want to express themselves. And I love the way that you can go into towns, cities, and just go places around the world and just document how people just go about living their lives. Those little moments that we all take for granted, when we're on holidays or we're just walking around our local cities and towns, that we just kind of don't notice, we just take for granted. And those things really fascinate me. And I think that, all these things all tell a story in their own unique way. And I just want to find my way through my camera of actually telling those particular stories. And though that's my desire, actually doing it is a whole nother thing. Because over these last lot of years, now I'm at 46, I've built up a whole range of bad habits pretty much. And this all stems back from when I was actually leaving school. Now, I wasn't the best in school, but when I actually left, I managed to get work with a guy called Richard Vincent. Now, I was quite fortunate then because, like I say, I wasn't the best kid. But as I left with no qualifications, he was brilliant taking me on as a labourer, whatnot else. He was a fantastic carpenter, but he also done bricklaying, grounds work and stuff. And I worked with him and it was going really, really well. And he started putting more responsibility onto me. The idea was it would end up sending me to college to get my certificates and stuff for different things and that lot. And I could go off one day and do it by myself. But I decided to sabotage myself just like I did in my school time. And I managed to end up losing that job because I wasn't turning up and whatnot else. I think I pretty much, looking back, was doing that subconsciously. I really was. So from there, after that, I pretty much bounced from little jobs, so labourers, doing valeting and things like that. But then I had another epiphany where I just felt like, I need to get my life together a little bit. I've seen a lot of my friends had nice jobs, and they were getting cars and stuff like that. And though I had a car and bits and that, I didn't have as much money and I wasn't really being very successful at all. So I needed to sort myself out. So I decided to go to college and I was going to do plumbing this time. I thought this would be good. They earn good money. I like working with my hands and that lot. So my cousin also done it. So I managed to get the experience working with my cousin whilst I was actually going to college. And I'd done my MVQs and done everything else like that. But once again, I managed to absolutely, cock it up for myself once again. And that was just really being a bit, lackluster. As I was riding my bike, I was not looking the right way. Taxi come down, knocked me off the bike. I was like half in the windscreen, half not. But what I did do was crack the cartilages in my knees, and they were hurting for a good while and stuff. But looking back, instead of just quitting, going, right, I'm not doing plumbing anymore, I could probably just, took a bit of time, done a bit of rehab, and I could have got back in there, because I'm sure there's a lot more plumbers out there who've had a lot worse injuries and they still managed to get on their jobs. But I'd use that as an excuse once again to get out. So by this time, I've quit many jobs. Bear in mind, I've jumped from one thing to another. I'm thinking, like, what else am I going to do? Like, where else am I going to go? But luckily enough, at the same time, I was actually living with a guy called Mike, who happened to be the foreman on a site for a company called Salisbury Glass. And basically, he used to make the curtain wall for skyscrapers, which is basically this like Lego that goes up inside the scaffolding, and you put all the glass and panes and stuff. And he used to work away then in London, Exeter, and other places like that. Fantastic money. I would say it's the most exciting job in the world. Got a little bit mundane and what else. But once again, I managed to completely cock that up as well. Got myself fired from that job in the long run, just for an ongoing dispute within the company. It happened between a good few of us, whatever else. But at this particular time, I was actually working where I'm actually living now, which is in Barry, just outside Cardiff. And fortunate for me, at this particular time, I actually already met someone from Barry, which is my present-day wife, and I was looking to stay up here as well. Now, this is where kind of like the more shift in my life kind of like happened, where I kind of like knew that I really needed to sort myself out in some ways. So the first thing I made sure that I did do was I moved away from home. I didn't want to go back to home. I've kind of like distanced myself from home, sadly speak. And I kind of regret that in a way. I don't really speak to any of my friends back from home or anything else like that. But I think it was a good thing for me to make a clean break in the end. I used to go back with my partner to meet my friends and that, but I knew that once this job was changing and that lot, that it was time, to make some changes in my life. So I started really stopped going out as much and stuff like that. But where I got with my partner and that lot, I decided that, I wanted, not to work on site as much, but, to be, more office bound maybe, so that I'm not on the tools and that lot. And I decided I wanted to go into management for construction. But as I joined the course, I didn't join the course today. I decided that this wasn't for me. I can't describe it, more like a calling in my mind was basically telling me, don't do it, don't do it whatsoever. So I kind of like jumped out of that, and I was like, no matter what I want to do, I want to work from home. And this is kind of like what started like the journey that I am on now. But it didn't quite go as planned as I thought, because basically what I thought I'd do is I'd just work at home. I was going to, be a YouTuber and that lot. That didn't work out. Then I was going to do streaming. That didn't work out. I started learning Photoshop and other things like that, and I started making fantasy designs for people like online, and I put all their kids in the pictures and stuff. But I wasn't really a very good salesman pitch kind of vibe, and that kind of like failed as well. But I just jumped from one things to another. But one thing I did do during that particular time is I've always worked on the doors, like working nights and stuff like that, to make sure that I always had a good income coming in. And then also with that as well, I did also do KFC as well as part-time. God, that was man, never working KFC again. That was kind of crazy, going from like earning really good money to earning minimum wage. But the main reason I'd done that is because I wanted to spend time with my daughter. She was being born, and I just wanted to be a hands-on dad and spend as much time with her as I possibly could. So as you can see, I've got this consistency run from where I was in school all the way up to present day, and I've tried a million different things, and I've failed at every single one of them, cocked them all up. But at the same time, I also think that I kind of like sabotage myself. I really do. I think that I don't think a lot of myself when I look back. I put myself down quite a lot. I haven't had the confidence in that lot. I don't feel that I'm as good as other people. So that way I don't deserve these kind of things. And I think that's coming from a subconscious way. So I think like I've set myself these barriers, and as soon as I feel like I'm getting close enough to my target, I kind of like push myself away. I use excuses or use things that have happened, as ways to get out of certain things. Whereas people that really want to get away and get further into their careers, don't let those things stop them, and they push themselves through basically, and they just keep on going. And those people that push through and just keep on going have kind of like given me more inspiration. I've learned that like I have these barriers, you know, kind of like built into myself that have been stopping myself, because everything that I've been trying to do to work at home, to work with a camera, you know, go out filming and stuff like that, I've always got a reason why I can't do things. When I've had opportunities to do other weddings and stuff like that, even though they were free, that would then, you know, put me in front of other people so they could recommend me, but I'd either be ill, there's something going on, and I've kind of like always had excuses about why I can't actually go and do things. But also I know that like I've always wanted to make these kind of videos. I want to talk about my life, I want to talk about experience and try and inspire other people as well to actually go out and do those kind of things. But I always think to myself, who am I? Like what do I know? What can I, you know, showcase in regards to, you know, showing people that you can go and do things without actually really going and doing themselves. And that's why I wanted to kind of like document, you know, my starting, instead of just doing it from the end and talking about how I actually achieved it, is doing it from the actual start. And this is what's kind of like changed my mind shift in this especially the last couple of months, that I've worked with a lot in doing meditation, breath work, been working out. I gave up drinking about 6 years ago and stuff like that, but I've been really taking care of, especially my mind. And I've really started to learn about, you know, the barriers that I've put up, you know, self-sabotaging myself, stop, you know, allowing myself to actually do the things that I actually want to do and overthinking things all the time, but to actually go and do those things. And I'm kind of feeling in a really, really good way. Now, I've had lots of things go wrong, especially over the last month or so. I was doing some content work, like with a nightclub where I was doing filming and doing all the photos and stuff like that for them. They couldn't afford to keep me on anymore. They couldn't afford to do the work on the club and that lot. So even though we get people in, people would just leave straight away. And so it wasn't very viable for them. So but that all came about over one weekend where I got sacked. I got to move on, then gone back to door work, and I've had a number of other issues, especially over the last month or so, and it has been quite, you know, it has been quite stressful. But I will say, in the same sense that it's been stressful, it's actually been quite enlightening. Like my mindset, like I haven't really got down too much or anything else like that. I've really been focusing. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts, a lot of you know, a lot of manifestation kind of like material and stuff like that, how the mind works, how we can bring and, you know, attract things into our world that we really, really want. And weirdly enough, things are starting to happen, even though it might not look like it on the outside, especially to my missus, because my missus is probably, come on, Ez, when are you going to be this millionaire guy? But for me personally, on the inside, that's happened. And once things happen on the inside, I truly believe that things happen on the outside. And that's why I'm like now creating like this video. I'm going out now and I'm doing things like down in my local areas, which I didn't think was good enough before, doing these little video postcards, showing people, you know, in their daily lives and trying to tell stories there, so that when I go abroad, I can actually tell those stories in a very, you know, in my own unique kind of way. So I think that my mindset's kind of changing, and it's brilliant, because all these little setbacks I'm having of late, they're kind of like moving out the way, like, and I'm starting to attract little things into my life, whereas I was like stressing about like money, how I was going to get certain parts of gear. And now I just think on the end goal. I don't think how I'm going to get there or what I'm going to get. And I'm finding little things are coming into my life. And I feel really confident. And this and how I feel now is completely different to how I used to feel back then, when I was a complete failure, when I was keep cocking everything up. Like now I understand how I used to think about, how I used to self-sabotage myself all the time. And I don't want to create those kind of instances in my world now. And even though the universe is going to give me some tests in that lot, I feel that I'm ready for it. And I feel really, really confident. And I think that by putting these videos out, even though not many people might watch these at the start, but I really hope that these are going to be a documented journey that people will look back on and hopefully gain inspiration, actually see for themselves that, you know, even though we might put ourselves down and things might not go right, you know, we can actually achieve it if we can just change the state of our mind, you know, and really start to attract and bring things into our world that we actually really, really want to do. So all there is left now is to just keep moving forward. Just trust the process. Just like trusting the people that have, you know, trusted me, especially over the last years, like my partner, who's been an absolute rock. She's been amazing. She really believes that I'll succeed in the things that I'm going to do. Plus, I refuse to let my kids down, my daughter and my stepson, in any kind of way. I told them that I'd actually do these kind of things as well. So I've learned from my past. I know that I was a complete failure in a lot of different aspects from different careers and different jobs that I've had, but I also know that I'm not that same person. I've got a completely different mindset now, and I've actually learned from their mistakes. And when things get tough, just to keep pushing forward. You know, if you know this is the right thing, just to keep on going. The universe is going to test us in lots of different ways to see how much that we actually really want what we say that we want. And I know that I want this more than anything. And personally for me, I've kind of, like I say, finding different ways to actually go and pursue this career. And I think through these videos, I'm hoping that in the long run, once we put a nice series together, that I can actually go out there and hopefully inspire other people to actually go out and do things that they want to do themselves. It doesn't have to be filmmaking or anything else like that. But, you know, to take the plunge, do those extra hours in the evening, whatever else like that, to go and pursue something that they really find meaningful in their lives, and and for you to go out there and create and do beautiful things as well. So anyway, I hope you guys want to keep enjoying this journey with me. If you do, please subscribe, and if you could drop a like, it'd be absolutely amazing. Hopefully we'll be dropping out a video every single week. I've got plenty of topics that I want to talk about, including like my partner, how important it is to have someone that, who loves and supports you as well in your life. That really does help a lot as well. So I'll be talking about lots of different things in regards to also showing how my actual journey is going, like my different filmmaking and, the decisions that I'm actually making to push that forward as well. So hope you join me on this journey. Until we see you next time, thanks a lot.